Hey, salut friends. Today I'm sharing my impressions of 5 new fragrances from the new sub-collection within Dior's collection privée called Esprits de Parfum. I do not have full bottles here, obviously, just the original fragrances back there for comparison. Out of the new 5, tested 2 on blotters and 3 on skin. So here I am to share my thoughts. I reported on these new releases in my Gris Dior review video in May, and now we finally have them. I got to smell them at the Galeries Lafayette in France from the official Dior boutique. As of the recording of this video, the 10th of August, they are kept at the back of the physical boutiques. If you have purchased from them before, or they know you, or you know the sales associate, you can ask for it and they'll let you smell them, but no photographs or samples. They are available for purchase only online at the moment. Official website of Dior at €395 for 80 ml, the only size. They will be officially put out on display the business week after, starting 19th of August. Again, I can speak only for France where I live, not sure about the dates in other countries. Now, what is this collection about? I remember sharing a lighter moment a couple of years ago with some friends within the fragrance circle, when one of them happened to mention that designer exclusive perfumes are getting bigger in terms of quantity as well as popularity, to the point that these brands like Dior create super exclusive fragrances within the already existing exclusive collection, which is pretty much what we have got going on here. The idea of this collection is to take existing fragrances from the collection privée, make them richer and push them in a more assertive, luxurious direction with some twists and modifications. They are Esprits de Parfum, a reference to the concentration, which is said to be in between an Eau de Parfum and an Extrait de Parfum. This is not new for Dior. They have already used this terminology for the likes of Miss Dior, Poison and Dune, so it is a nod to that. All created by their in-house celebrity perfumer creator Francis Cookjean, who has been at the helm for about 3 years now, I think. Quote from Francis Cookjean about the collection: Esprits de Parfum are a stylistic exercise that reflects the spirit of the maison, my vision of luxury and creativity. I sculpted the materials to push them to the extremes of their expression and dare to shake them up. I wanted their compositions to assert a real aesthetic stance and for their trails to be powerful. They come in a similar, slimmer version of the Collection Privée bottle with black labels, magnetic caps, and a generous amount of coloring agents. The essay kept mentioning how these are couture perfumes. The labels have this fabric-like texture to them, so some thought has gone in. I was also said you can buy all 5 of them and layer them amongst themselves or with the Eau de Parfum version for an ultra-luxurious experience, cause why not? If you have seen my other videos, I have not been taken with whatever Francis has done at Dior, or rather what Dior has done with Francis from another perspective. Not big on Dior Riviera and new look from the Collection Privée. Still went into this with an open mind. I believe Lucky and Rouge Trafalgar were particularly demanded by Dior in this collection as they are important to the house, which was a bit surprising because I don't think they are fan favorites. Whereas Cookjean suggested Gris Dior, Oud Ispahan and Ambre Nuit. I think sometimes we overestimate the authority the perfumers have at these big houses. They are asked to deliver what the management wants for the most part. Francis also has said a few times he never creates for himself but for the people and what is asked of him. In any case, let's talk about them one by one, starting with Lucky. The original was a fresh, ozonic green muguet or lily of the valley fragrance as a nod to Christian Dior's superstitious character, who considered it to be his lucky charm. Esprits de Parfum is fairly in line with the Eau de Parfum, where that was dewy, watery, fresh, spring floral. Some even compared it to air freshener or shampoo. This opens fresh but then takes it in the more waxy, voluptuous, sensual direction with a robust woodiness supporting it. Could be cedar. More substantial, stemmy, somewhat vegetal, reassuring, dense textured, leathery woodiness rather than the white musks. I'm getting this waxy, green peas-like feel to it. It is green but less saturated overall, like a garden at night. Some added sweetness as well compared to the EDP. Almost feels like the imaginary headspace of the plant with the stems, earth and the petals. This is an accord of lily of the valley, of course, which is highly regulated now. As for capturing the combination of the endolic green, sharp white floral facets and the earthy, dirty facets of the lily of the valley, I think I find this more appealing than the Eau de Parfum, so kudos to that. Not one I would buy and wear myself, but still pleasantly done. If only the creator of Diorissimo, Edmond Runitska, was around to give his thoughts. Next step is Rouge Trafalgar. I noticed all 5 chosen for this collection had the originals created by François Demachy. I was expecting a Bois d'Argent Esprit de Parfum, which has become sort of an icon at this point. Also does really well business-wise. I even asked this to the essay. Now take this with a grain of salt because it is from just one essay, but the rumor is that they indeed tried to do a take on Bois d'Argent, but from the trials they were not convinced and felt like it was taking away from the signature silhouette of the original, which has since been reformulated by both Demachy and Francis. Maybe it will come in the future, who knows. But in any case, coming back to Rouge Trafalgar, the original was this sweet, fruity, youthful, summery scent based on red fruits like raspberry, cherry and blackcurrant with patchouli and musks. Not super complex or a showstopper, but a simple, passable fruit chuli pretty much. This takes those fruity, fresh, tart fruits and makes a goma out of them, transforms those fruity notes to be more dense, ripe, and as if they have been reduced and concentrated, jammy, syrupy and sweet. Cherry seems to be the dominant one among the red fruits. It has this caramelized, compote-like quality, some pink pepper in the top which keeps it from being completely lost in the sweetness. This is also rosy, has Bulgarian and Turkish rose, so it goes into this rose jam, Turkish delight like direction. As it dries down, goes a bit on the amberwoody, ambroxan side. Not exactly the same, but I was reminded of Coq Jean's signature at MFK in the far dry down, with something like Baccarat Rouge with this one. There was already a discussion on this topic when the original was released with regards to the naming. As for fruity gourmand fragrances go, this is not bad at all, but again, not one that is up my alley. Next, let's go to 3 that I was actually looking forward to, and they immediately went on skin for testing. I already own the EDP versions. Let's do Gris Dior first, which is one of my favorites from the Privée collection. It is this abstract, silky, moody, grey rose patchouli scent, really a newer chypre, paying homage to the house color of Dior. The Esprit version in the opening smells rather different from the EDP because of a prominent pearlescent violet note. The essay said a couple of times that this has been pushed in the couture direction, as in to smell like expensive fabrics, dresses and makeup, which was already evident in the EDP, only more accentuated here. Further in the dry down is where the original structure starts to show up, but still I would say this is half different in terms of scent profile. It is more lush, solid and less airy than the EDP. They have used a different patchouli here, which is darker, raw and somewhat leathery. A notable voluminous rose presence here as well. The sort of musky floral aspects of the ylang orange blossom and the touch of fruitiness from the original are pretty much gone. Much more woody as well with the sandalwood and cedar, making it more somber and mysterious. Getting a lot of amber as well instead of the mossy earthiness. So if the EDP was an airy, fruity floral chypre, this is more of an amber floral woody chypre. This is nice, but I feel like it chips away at the abstract, airy character of the EDP. So in this case, I actually prefer the original. Next is Oud Ispahan, which was of course Dior's popular rosewood fragrance. Does not get talked about that often nowadays, but it's certainly one of the bolder designer creations at the time of its release and has been copied by several brands, so much so that the DNA has become synonymous with the designer rosewood smell. I still like it and wear it from time to time. One of the first Privée fragrances I bought. This Esprit de Parfum version is sincere to the original and does changes while still keeping the main idea intact, notably with spices, cumin and clove, in addition to the saffron present in the EDP. The spices thankfully go in the woody, smoky aroma direction rather than sweaty. Again, this is more sweet with the honeyed rose in the heart. That is contrasted by the charred, smoky, resinous oud accord with amber and sandalwood. It's dark, it's velvety, feels more hidden in the shadows, so has that mysterious opulence, dry but smooth. It seems like Francis Coupe has foregone any citruses with this collection, which was a nice touch. It's a little more colorful than the original as well, which can be a bit monotonous. And it has some animalic edge to it. It was bittersweet smelling this because on the sweet side, this is close to what I remember the original Oud Ispahan smelling like. On the bitter side, this is what I remember the vintage Oud Ispahan smelling like, which has now been watered down. So yeah, I do like it, but with the fairly old juice I own and with this DNA being overdone, I think I'll stick to my bottle for the moment. Last but not least is Ambre Nuit, which is also a favorite of mine. The silky, lightly spicy, rosy amber, which has also been reformulated now, unfortunately. From the opening of this Esprit de Parfum, I knew it was going to be my favorite from the line. It opens with an explosion of spices, cardamom and cinnamon, which are some of my favorites. Possibly some pepper as well. The spices are really the main aspect of this scent and are dispersed in this familiar amber of the original Eau de Parfum. It reminded me of cooking spices, preparation in the Middle East in a good way. I really find that smell intoxicating. The rose is a minor player in this scent, which is a big difference from the original. Within the amber is this smoky, charred, resinous labdanum-like facet that came through on the skin. It was just spices on the blotter. Underlying vanillic sweetness as well. This is also going in the Middle Eastern side of Western perfumery, I think. In fact, it does not state any oud accord, but I would not be surprised if it is in here. It did remind me of the likes of Ambre Sultan and Mitsa, but something more modern about it. This also has a touch of animalic vibration within the context of this collection. I think it's got to do with the masks used here. Francis is of course good at melding masks with gooey resinous amber. He has done it here again. It's grand, it's bold, it's opulent, fairly different from the EDP. Fit for a grand soir, if I say so myself. Overall, I think Dior and Francis Coupe have done reasonably well with this collection. I like that he has finally done some darker fragrances after lots of boring, redundant masks. They also smell better, I think. Easily his best work at Dior and maybe in general over the last few years. I like that some of them are taking risks. I noticed something else. If like me, you are familiar with the Dior boutique, you would have also noticed this sharp, abrasive aroma in the air when you pass by and someone has just tested their oud fragrances or something. I'm not a perfumer, but I reckon it has to be some aroma chemicals or potent woody ambers present in those. This collection seems to have gotten the Coupe treatment, and as such, they smell rounder and smoother. That scratchiness is gone. They are also really potent, especially Ambre Nuit and Oud Ispahan, still going strong after 8 hours. Really capturing the idea of a nighttime event perfume. Now it's not all rainbows. Would I have preferred to have seen entirely new original releases? I have to say yes. It's been a few years and FK has done, or briefed to do rather, more rehashes than new releases. So this exclusive within the exclusive does have that air of capitalizing on existing fragrances about it. Some cash grab vibes too from LVMH. The biggest drawback is going to be the price, of course. It is €395 for 80 ml. Which is pretty much equal to the price of a 250 ml Eau de Parfum, which costs €400. That is an absurd amount of money for one bottle. We have recently seen Guerlain do it as well with their Extrait. So I guess it's coming top down at LVMH. So no surprise, I don't see myself buying these at retail. I would like to revisit Oud Ispahan, Gris Dior and especially Ambre Nuit, which I might consider getting a sample of online. I will be curious to see if they will add more to this line and how they perform business-wise and the general public reception. Either way, that has been my impression of the new Esprit de Parfum from Dior. Thanks for watching, take care and ciao.